Okay guys, so I'm finally going to get my Dreamcatcher review up after I read it quite a few weeks ago. I'm not going to hold up the book in this video because it is a really big book. It's hardcover. It's a good 617 pages. And it is in my pile of books to get rid of because even though I did enjoy it, I don't think I'm going to read it again. So it's going to either get donated or I'm going to trade it in for another book. So I'm not going to hold it up during the video, but if you guys remember, I did include it in my Book Mooch book haul. And it's that big purple book that actually looks pretty without a cover. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about what the book's about, and then I'm going to say what I did and didn't like about it. Well, this Stephen King book relies heavily on relationships, and it's about our 5 main characters are best friends. And the four of these main characters I'm going to talk about together, but there's one special friend I'm going to talk about separately. And it revolves around the 4 guys who are named Beaver, Jonesy, Pete, and Henry. And they've been best friends since middle school. They all look up to Henry because he's kind of the leader. Well, one day as they're walking home from school, they come across a little boy with Down syndrome that's being picked on by an older high school boy. And they all team up together and drive the high school boy away. And then as they discover, as they talk to the little boy Duddits, who has Down syndrome, that they like him. So it becomes that 5th friend. Well, the thing about it is, when they bring him home, they decide they like him so much that they ask his mother if they can start walking him home from school every day. And she says, oh, he would love that, hanging out with the older boys. He'd feel so cool. So they start this relationship with this little boy and hang out with him and spend all their time at his house and walking him from school. That because they've developed this strong friendship with him, they all develop telepathic powers that his mother and him have through that relationship. I know it's kind of a stretch. It's kind of a really far-fetched plot, but I really just think the relationships he wrote in this book are so well written out. Well, the years go by, and they're still friends with them all through their high school years, but after they graduate, they all stop hanging out with them, and then he develops leukemia. Well, I think they subconsciously knew through their telepathic abilities that he had leukemia, so they stayed away from him, and they just didn't want to see him suffer, which isn't really a good excuse if you're friends with somebody, but hey, if they didn't, we wouldn't have a story. Well, as two of them decide they want to go visit Duddits, and they plan to, but one of them gets hurt and has that surgery in this hospital all the time. Well, once he heals, they go on a hunting trip, and at that hunting trip, they discover that aliens are starting to invade Earth, and their telepathic powers aid them in trying to drive them off. Well, I first saw the movie before I read the book, and the way they did the movie terrified me, because the way that the aliens take over your body is if you eat anything with the virus on it, the alien will grow inside you and grow in your stomach and then eat its way through you and come out through your butt. And that scene with the guy on the toilet just terrified me as a kid. So it's made me want to pick up the book and read it. One good thing about the book was it had a great opening that introduced us to the 4 main guys. Because Duddits was a mystery for a good while in the book. I didn't know about Duddits until a good quarter of the way in, or maybe a little more. They introduced the 4 main characters really well. It's kind of little snippets of their life, and the telepathic powers is hinted at, but it's not, you don't know how or why they have them. That was a really good way to draw someone into the story and not give too much away. The middle and the end kind of drone on and on because there's a lot of military action going on to try and beat the aliens, and it's a lot of chasing the bad guys, chasing the good guys. It's very much Roadrunner and Coyote, and it can get boring because I didn't like those cartoons in the first place growing up. I get bored with the chase. So that kind of droned on for me. But the ending was really good, how he wraps everything up. Everything's pretty much taken care of for the most part. There is a bit of confusion, but I'll get to in a minute. But I think the ending was really well written. I warn you that the body count is high in this book. A lot of characters die, a lot of characters that you like, and it is sad. But when a bad character dies, you're happy. But like I said, if you don't like a lot of blood and gore, don't read this book. Definitely, like I said, the relationships are written really well in this book to where it's so strong that you definitely get your heart pulled around. If somebody dies and you really like them, it's sad. When something bad happens, you get really sad. When something good happens, you feel really happy. There was a lot of emotion tugging at me while I was reading this. Another thing I don't like about it, though, is like I said, the plot is pretty far-fetched, and it could be considered a weak plot by some. Even though the relationships are written really well, this book made me feel stupid. I don't get some of the things that had to do with the telepathic powers. I don't really get how they have them. I don't really get how it works. I don't really understand how they battled the aliens in the first place. some of it is just woo over my head. Maybe I am stupid, but I found the book to be really confusing, which is why I only gave it 3 out of 5 stars. But I definitely recommend it if you like Stephen King and you haven't read this, because it is still pretty good. And even if you just want an introduction to Stephen King, maybe this might be a book you read. I don't know. I'm going to put the link to the book on Amazon in my comment section below. If you read the book and you liked it, tell me about it in the comments. If you didn't like it, tell me about the comments. I'll have another review up for you guys soon. It was a book I really didn't like, so be prepared for this book to get blasted. I'll see you guys in the next video.